Filbert, just been elected chair, and our vice chair is Donnie Nuttall. And congratulations to Dave for his election. Some of you may or may not know that he was re-elected. And thank you, Cindy, and thank you to Shelley for all of your hard work up to this point, and I'm looking forward, as is everybody. We'll open this meeting at 7 minutes out, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to start a new tradition tonight. I have a brother retired from the military, and all the years I played music. Always took a few minutes to have a moment of silence for the men and women that are serving this country, and I'd like to start that tonight. So if we could take a moment of silence for all of those who serve us. Thank you. All right. I'm going to find page 1. Give me a second. Where the hell is that? There it is. Adjustments to the meeting. Is there anything?
Yeah, a couple of things. We have a late application for RFA street grants that came in today. And that was originally supposed to be scheduled for tomorrow. That's something that you asked to bring up today. We also would like to move the discussion on the mill rate up front so that as soon as we decide which action to take, the assessor and town treasurer can start right away on the commitment tonight to get all that in the work.
So can we do the mill rate after the public to speak? Are you happy with that? Or do you want to do it right away?
No,
Mill rate?
move it up front so they can get their work going. And then also what's off the agenda that you have in your packets is the minutes from June 4th. It's just not listed on your agenda, that's all, but you have them, and that was tabled from the previous minute, because there wasn't enough people here who was present at that meeting.
Okay.
So that's the only other thing.
All right. Let's take up the, you want to do the RFA first? Since you just brought that up. All the documentation been filled?
Chief hasn't signed off on it, because it came in late, he wasn't here. So if you're gonna take any action on it, I would recommend you do that subject to the chief's approval.
You all comfortable with that? Wait for the chief's approval? Very good. All right. Review and approve the minutes, meeting minutes for June 18th,
Mr. Chairman?
2018.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh,
I think you want to take a motion on this contingent on it being signed by the chief.
Yes. I mean, if you're
So
gonna
we need to approve.
make the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the RFA event permit application for the Pond Street street dance to be held on July 18th from 6:30 to 10.
Second?
Any discussion?
That was July 7th.
All in favor?
The application says 18th.
Yeah. No opposed? Ready for the minutes? Motion for June 18th meeting.
Well, we'll start with the 4th.
June 4th first.
Oh, you want to do with 4? Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the one we
in,
just
it's in here,
changed.
but they didn't put
All
it
right.
in the thing. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the June 4th meeting minutes with any corrections or additions.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Wasn't here.
You abstain?
Abstain.
One
I
abstain.
was absent.
four-
You abstained because you weren't here either.
Hmm?
It was just the three of us. That's why
Go for it. 3 of you. 2 abstain. You can still vote to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the June 18, 2018 meeting minutes with any corrections or additions.
Second?
Was everybody here? I'm not reading it. You just tell me.
You are.
All in favor? Everybody's in favor.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the July 2nd, 2018 meeting minutes with any corrections or additions.
Second?
Any discussion? Hang on, folks. Any discussion?
Oh, I can't second it. I can't, I withdraw my second, I wasn't.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor, that can be in favor? We have one abstaining, thank you. All right. I have a great deal of respect for the public to speak. So we're gonna do this just one way here. You're all gonna be able to have your time to speak, and bring up any topics you like. If you bring a topic up that's in the courts, we're not gonna talk about it, but we are gonna listen. Okay? If you bring up a topic that we don't have information on, we'll listen, write the information down, and then we'll get the proper information. So here you are, folks. What would you like to say? Raise your hand and we'll go for it. Yes, Kenny?
I'd like to bring up a follow-up on a topic from the last meeting, where I voiced my concerns about lawyers' fees. And that someone, who was authorizing the lawyers' fees, and if anybody had a chance to check up on it. And the second part of my question is have we got any recent bills in from the lawyers? Pretty Flaherty. Anybody answer that?
John, you want to answer that, respond to that?
Yeah, we did just get a bill in, that's not on the warrant this week, but, and it would encompass April, May, and June.
Okay. Who authorized the charges?
Some in April was still discussions with Tim, discussions on, various town issues. There were a couple in May since I was here, and there were like 5 of them in June that were all related to this court settlement recently that, where the judge ruled on your cement plant.
Would anybody authorize those charges?
They never came through me.
Okay.
They were just, from the court system to the attorney's response,
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of bill.
What is the town's policy? Is it supposed, somebody's supposed to authorize it, the lawyers just do whatever they want to do?
Typically, the policy, as I understand it, goes like this. There's, let's say there's a lawyer issue, and it's brought before the board. The board will have a motion, we'll have a second, and they'll authorize the town manager to contact for the legal opinions based upon what was brought before this board.
Okay.
Kenny, don't stray far from what we're gonna be doing versus what happened in the past, okay?
No problem. I'm just trying to
Okay.
figure out if
Yep.
this is current stuff or
Right.
it's happening.
Remember, you can also request things under the Freedom of Information Act that gives you an opportunity to study it at your leisure as opposed to trying to get us to remember.
I agree totally with that. The only thing is, I feel that there's been a great injustice done by some town officials and by the town's council. And one of it is, we have a stop work order on the concrete plant up there that was initiated by the town's lawyer, Stephen Langsdorff, who was removed from the case by the town. Yes, he was removed by it, they hired another lawyer, Katsiafikas, was a lawyer that was for the zoning board of appeals and for the planning board. And Pretty Flaherty was removed from that case totally. He's calling up and he's the one initiating the stop work order, which, we just don't feel it's right. And following up on that, our lawyer contacted the ZBA's lawyer, who was Jim Katsiafikas, about the stop work order and about the ruling. And we want to get in front of the zoning board of appeals, to be honest with you. And Kristen Collins, who works with Stephen Langsdorff, told Jim Katsiafikas that he was no longer representing the town on the concrete batch plant case, that they were taking over the case. So he was no
We
longer.
just got off the telephone with our town lawyer,
Okay.
who's instructed this board to tell everybody involved out here that the process is not through the Board of Selectmen right now. The process is in the courts and with the Board of Appeals.
Okay, great.
So every discussion that we're having here regarding to it is us just listening and not responding
Okay.
to anything because of that. Okay?
That gets us to our point,
Okay?
where we also feel the same thing. We filed an appeal
Okay.
with the courts, and we're asking for it to go back to where it was, and when asking for the stop work order to be rescinded by the town. And also, if that can't be done through the selectmen, then we're asking to go before the zoning board of appeals, to have it rescinded.
As it was described to us from legal counsel, that's where it's headed, and this board is not involved.
Okay?
Okay?
Who hires the lawyer?
I'm sorry?
Who, how is Jim Katsifikis, is he back on the case now with the zoning board of appeals?
Scotty, I'm telling you, we talked with our legal counsel, and this is
Oh,
our
no.
position.
I thought
And
that's
I'm
what
not
we
gonna,
talked
I'm not gonna identify
Oh, okay.
anything, and I'm not
Right.
putting this board at
Yep,
any spot. I mean, that's the position we have to take right now.
okay.
Is it comfortable? Absolutely not, but that's where we are, okay? Any more on the concrete plan? Next, anything else? Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm very concerned about what's gonna happen to the sidewalk on Lake Street. Can you tell me if it's gonna be there, or is it not gonna be there?
You wanna address that, Kenny?
Yeah, we, M&H as a part of it, have been working with the town manager and Keith Savage, the Public Works Director, and the sidewalk has been, the select board voted to rebuild the whole sidewalk with a granite curbing all the way from, by Bethany/Slack's apartment to where the curbing matches in at the Skowhegan Savings Bank. And it's either gonna be Wednesday or Thursday. The street is gonna be reclaimed. They're gonna dig it down approximately 12 inches and all the asphalt on the street. And the paving's supposed to be done either Friday or Saturday of this week. And the granite curbing's going in next Wednesday. It's scheduled for next Wednesday. And then once that curbing's in, we start and rebuild the rest of, we already put the base gravel in, but do the fine grade and stuff like that for the asphalt for the sidewalk. So it should be a couple weeks, it should be totally done.
Great. Thank you. I have one more thing, Mr. Chairman, but it could be under old business. I don't know unless you want to take it up now.
Go ahead.
A while ago, I was in here as representative of the Rangeley Farmers Association, looking for a lease at the airport. Since then, I've got some feedback back to me that some of the selectmen are speaking, and this may be totally wrong, that the association is looking for money from town. We are absolutely not looking for any money from the town. All we are looking for is a lease for the land that we were promised. And I'd like to know, it's been about a month, is there anything been done or any disposition on that? Because our timing is, we'd like to get working on a building, so we can get our stuff undercover by winter.
John, have you been able to tackle anything in that regard? No. I just will say that John's been in the hospital for a period of time here and just got out recently, so, not that I need to apologize for that, but that's the
So if
situation.
there's gonna be a group put together over there, I'd like to be on it as far as working on the terms of the lease and what can go on so that we can move this thing on. I'd be glad to help.
Okay, thank you. Can you make note of that, John, please?
Yeah.
Super. Anything else in public to speak? Going once? Okay, thank you.
Oh. Are they still engineering the sidewalk going up out of town? Anybody know?
What?
Across from Southbank Motoring? They still working on that sidewalk?
The sidewalk
Lookout up
project.
there?
Yeah, scenic lookout.
Yeah, that was, Tim told me that was gonna be done in the fall. It's a DOT project.
So they still, are they looking into putting the third lane up
Well,
over
I
there?
haven't
Anybody know
heard
yet?
anything updated, except they were gonna do it in the fall.
Yeah. Okay, one last one, go ahead, Chris.
I just had a question to follow up on the Lake Street sidewalk work and all that. Is there parking going to be arranged for the public going down there? Because it was pretty tricky last Thursday, Friday. It's a nice beach day, there's not a lot. Some of the other business parking got used quite a bit, which worked out okay, but we just want to be prepared. Because there was no
Well,
signage or anything
I
as
don't
far
know.
as people to get in and out.
I have no idea on that. Go ahead.
We again talked with town manager John and Keith, and it looks like because of what's happening, we did away with like a 4-foot section that used to be grass a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all gonna be pavement, so it is gonna be a wider street, and quite a bit wider than what it is up by the mouth of the road. And it appears there's enough parking, there could be parking on both sides if the town decided, that's up to you.
Kenny, I think he's talking about signage or striping.
So
I'm
just,
talking about this
Yeah,
next
slightly
10
for
days,
market.
well, I'm talking about this next 10 days when you guys are doing the work. Is there some kind of a plan that Public Works has to notify people to park in other areas?
Yeah. I think everybody's gonna have to be patient till this baby's done and recognize, I mean, if you all just haven't seen it, take a 5 minutes out of your day, I think, you know, they've done a hell of a job. It's really
That's
worth
good.
our patience for a few more days. But thank you. Okay, we all set with public speak? Very good. Move to the next thing, boards and committees, please. Excuse me, we're gonna do the mill rate. Let's do the mill rate.
Yep.
No, I think we're good. So I have passed out, good evening, everybody. I have passed out a couple examples with the mill rate, a little packet to you folks, with a couple different scenarios with mill rates and overlays, for us to kind of go over and look at. Just to give you a couple, I guess, overview items. Taxable valuation, we picked up around a little over 3.6 million in new taxable valuation over 2017. The first 3 pages that you guys have in your packet are different scenarios with overlay options. And then there will be a sheet that shows the last 3 years worth of abatements and supplementals. And then the last page will be the 2017 mill rate tax rate calculator, just for reference. Taxable value, like I started to say, I got a little ahead of myself, but taxable value, like I said, is up, you know, around a little over 3.6 million. But also what is up is the assessments or the budgets money, and what is down is the, you know, the other revenues function of this from last year. Overall, our total assessments, when I'm talking about assessments, I'm meaning county tax, muni appropriation, and local ed, we're up around 184,000 over last year, just a little over 184,000. So that's more, 184,000 more to raise this year than last year. And then on the other end of that spectrum, our other revenues is down 290,000, a little over 290,000 from last year. So overall, those two numbers, we're raising a little over 474,000 more this year than last year.
486.
So I know we've had, you know, overlay talks in the past. So last year we stayed right around the $20,000 mark in our overlay. $20,037. This year we kind of started off with an even rate at the $1,350, giving us a $24,400 overlay. Went up a couple pennies, $1,352 to $34,661. And then the last option is $1,354 at $44,882. That fourth page in kind of shows you just what we're looking at over abatements. The tax year, we call it 15-16, but it was your FY16. We had $3,344 worth of abatements, and then we received back $1,826 worth of supplementals. And tax year 16-17, which is your FY17, we had $1,803 worth of abatements and 74 cents, and no supplementals. And then last year in the 17-18, your FY18, we had $2,009.06 worth of abatements and $1,372 worth of supplementals, which is, I think, pretty decent, given the overall amount of property we have in town and value. So those are just kind of, so now I'm looking for your input. And thoughts.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So looking at the option on page 1 with the overlay of 24,440.83, the minimum tax rate looks like we could go down to 1345.
Well, not quite to 1345, because that would give you a negative. You have to be at least at 13,452. So $13.
Okay. And is there a reason why you need to increase the overlay?
Well, we did 1349, was a $19,000 overlay, which was just under 20. So I was trying to stay with, so 1349 to 1350 was, for a penny, was, you know, the $5,000 difference.
Yeah.
That's assuming, you also said, I'm sorry.
Also, yeah.
That's assuming that your abatements and your homestead reimbursement don't change in those scenarios.
The homestead reimbursement, that is one thing, we don't really, the homestead reimbursement goes hand in hand with our mill rate calculator, you know, with our mill rate pick. One thing that is a little bit different this year than in years past is, I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple years ago, the homestead went from 10,000 to 15,000, last year it went from 15,000 to 20,000. Well, at that time, we were getting reimbursed for 50% of those monies lost, or that taxable value lost, from the state of Maine. This year, the way it was originally set up was when they went to the $20,000 exemption, the state was gonna reimburse the town for 50% of the first 10, 75% of the second 10. But because of the way the budget was passed last year at the state level, it was so late, they just kept it at the 50%. This year, we are going up to the 62.5% reimbursement. But that is reflected on this mill rate calculator that you have. So if you see down there, the line 21, with the 1350 mill rate estimate, we show a homestead reimbursement of $44,043. And if you look at the last page,
Kind of 34,082.
What's that?
The last page is 34,000.
Yeah, 34,082, right. That was what we were reimbursed last year for. But again, they averaged it out at 62.5, the combination of the 50 and the 75.
What scenario do you feel is the one you want to go with, given the parameters you set forth here?
Well, Rebecca, John, and I had kind of talked about it this morning, and we were feeling what the 1350 was
1350-20 or 1350?
No, just 1350.
First page.
Yeah.
First page, top one. Kind of even where we were, just last year, like I said, last year we had 20,037. The year before, we kept a $41,000 overlay. So I mean, we knew that lowering the overlay, trying to keep the mill rate, you know, at a reasonable rate, but you know, we've also have $474,000 more this year to raise than what we have in years past, just from increases, and then I guess the itemize of the road funds and things like that, the excise tax going to a different account and things like that, so.
Go ahead.
So it adds up to basically another mill, is what we're doing. Not quite, but close.
Almost,
Yeah.
1267.
And 67 is 50, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anything else from John?
Yeah, just want to point out that if you look at last year's line 13, the other non-property tax revenue, $1,002,955. It's only $712,000 this year, and that's because of the excise tax. The town voted to move that out of revenues and to use that to pay for your road bond debt. So that's $300,000 that you no longer have as property tax, non-tax revenue. It's really 6 or 1/2 a dozen into the other, because if you budgeted to pay the debt, your budget would increase by that amount.
You have to raise it somewhere.
You have to raise it somewhere, but that's the biggest change here, which causes the, $400-some-thousand increase in your budget. It's a lot of it because you lost the revenue from the excise tax.
Thanks, John. Anything else from the board? Larry?
I'm trying to keep up because I don't have a calculation sheet in front of me. It's very difficult without having the calculation sheet. I truly agree with what Cindy is saying, that we might not need as much overlay if we're dropping some off into undesignated. I'm confused. I understand about the homestead exemption, which would be a lack of revenue. Without the calculation sheet in front of me and a few minutes to look it over. You said we have a lack of revenue. if the lack of revenue has to do with the excise tax, it's really not lack of revenue. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, John, the budget committee of the Board of Selectmen and the voters agreed to reduce the highway repair number by $380,000 a year. Put that into maintenance at $2.5 million, which we're asking for a calculation sheet on that. I hope we get it soon to see where that $2.5 million is. If that's where your lost revenue is, your highway department should not be reflecting that $286,000.
It's only a loss of revenue in terms of this sheet that shows non-tax revenue.
Oh, okay, but so it's not
No.
really new money we have to raise, it's all about homestead exemption.
No, because, like I said, it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you didn't allocate the excise tax revenue, then your budget would have increased by the same amount. So it just
Possible.
shifted.
Thank you. I think you're right, but because that's supposed to balance in the construction world. That 386,000 should be balancing in the construction world of our roads. Instead of patching, we went forward long-term. Instead of spending 300,000 a year, we raised 2.5 million.
Yeah.
So we're not supposed to be spending that 300 on something else. It's supposed to go to debt service. Is it possible?
It is, you do realize, Larry, it's bringing it down from the overlay from 44,043 to 34,082.
I got that, but we only spent 14,000. We only spent 14,000 in overlay, correct? Ron? Last year, we only spent 14,000 of the 30 raised in overlay?
No, this,
No, no.
No. Could you possibly do the calculation sheet before I leave so I can study that tonight?
there's, I'll give you a copy.
Okay, thank you. It's just confusing without the sheet in front of you.
2,000
Oh,
was paid.
2,000, not 20,000.
But then there was supplementals of 1,300, so really.
I was just trying to keep up with numbers mentally, it's pretty hard without the sheet in front of you.
That would be cheapest, yeah. You all set, Larry?
Yeah, yeah.
Chris?
In the past, the overlay's always been kind of the area where the adjustment to keep the mill rate stable. So, I mean, 3 years ago, we had 240,000 in the overlay that didn't get listed. 4 years ago it was back. I know it was the first year we were talking about the school budget. So, to me, it's where we're at with this is, it's a lot less than what the original impact was going to be with everything that we outlined. We were looking at almost $1 when we originally dealing with the debt service of the school plus those other pieces. So I think coming in at 0.67 but doing the 1350 makes sense.
Thank you. Any other comments? John, you all set? Dave? What do you want from us?
Well, that's it.
We
That's
don't
all we
need-
need.
We don't need a motion, we just need, you need our recommendation.
Greg, yep, just looking for your recommendations.
Any other comments, Cindy, Shelley?
1350 it is?
1350 it is. Thank you. Nice job.
Thank you.
Hand that to Larry.
Paperwork.
Does that exceed the levy?
Thank you.
Does that exceed the levy?
Yeah, we're all,
Are we exceeding the levy?
No.
no. All set? Good. Mill rate, boards and committees. I'd like to bring us up to speed.
The ordinance committee's meeting tomorrow night at 6, I believe, or 5, you'd have to, I thought.
Yes?
Yep.
Larry, would you like to make a report on the airport committee?
I think I'm on the agenda, on the next page, I'm under Article 6 of the last thing, I think. It says airport commissioner, airport manager. Captain Gray.
Anybody else other than Larry? I'd like to bring us up to speed. Before I forget it, I know I said it just briefly, but you did a great job with that thing down at Town Park. Looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Really, really nice job. Really nice job. Consent items. AP warrants 57, 58, 02, 03.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the AP warrants, number 57, 58, for fiscal year 18, 02, and 03, for fiscal year 19.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, comments? How come your chair is so tall? I feel like a munchkin
You
sitting
gotta,
here.
you gotta
It
look at
pops
the
out.
handle.
Ah, I tried the thing, it went right to the floor. Wait, I might get this
Don't
checked
sit in
out.
there.
You're supposed to
Stand
sit
up.
down.
Oh, sit down, you tell
Switch
earlier.
chairs.
No more. Any other comments or criticism?
Well, looked at.
Yeah, here we go. All right.
Oh, God.
Broke dealers. All in favor of Donnie's motion, FY 18, 18, 19, 19. In favor? Any opposed? All in favor. Liquor license, the shed. Everything all cleaned up with, is there anybody here for the shed?
You just left.
I see the fire truck there, that Monday morning.
Tricia, everything all set with it now and meets the requirements and,
The fire chief and code enforcement signed off.
Also,
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal for the liquor license application for CC Food Design, also known as The Shed.
Second.
Thank you. CC Food Design, moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? No opposed. Next is the event permit for the air show.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the event permit application for the air show as requested by the Rangeley Air Show Committee for July 21st, 2018, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? I'm sorry, Rebecca left. She's doing a nice job with this air show. It's a great event. No discussion? All those in favor? All in favor. Art show in August. Art show in August. I liked it when it was on Main Street. You guys like it? I missed the Main Street.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the event permit application for the art show and sale put on by Rangeley Friends of the Arts in the Aquatic Park, scheduled for August 2nd. And there's no rain date, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
Discussions? Comments? All in favor? Jim Grant's 70th birthday party. Need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the event permit application for Jim Grant's 70th birthday party event to be held at 17 High Street on July 22nd, 2018, from 1 to 5 p.m.
Second.
You gonna close down for how long?
Just for the hours 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
I'll
1 to
probably
5?
set up a little bit before, like 12:30.
All the years I've been kicking around this, the first time I've ever okayed a permit for a birthday party.
I didn't get one when I turned 70.
You're gonna, I promise I'll do it. All in favor?
I already done.
Any opposed? No, no opposed. There you go, thank you. Appointments, Airport Commission, 3 seats. We have in front of us a recommendation from the airport. It says, I'll read it to you. I ask the Board of Selectmen to vote to approve the Airport Commission recommendations for 3-year Airport Commission members, openings which are each 3-year terms. There are 4 applicants for these 3 positions, and the Airport Commission to appoint has sent to us Jim Farrar for a 3-year term, Keith DeChambeau for a 3-year term, and Carl Haley for a 3-year term. Respectfully submitted from Rebecca Carmichael.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to draw attention to the additional information that was put in our packets regarding prior practice or regarding seating. This has to do with you being a seated Board of Select person and what's been past practice for the board for the Airport Commission. So what we have in our packets is a legal opinion from Freddie Flaherty that was requested by the town manager last year. And this legal opinion was presented to the Airport Commission in their meeting minutes on May 31st, 2017. It states in their minutes that the town manager clarified that the Board of Selectmen can't be on the Airport Commission because it's a conflict of interest. And so because of this in the minutes, they tossed Donnie Nuttall's request to be on the Airport Commission and seated you instead. So it looks like past practice has already been in place and accepted by the Airport Commission regarding a seated Board of Select person and the Airport Commission. And I know that an opinion was sought from MMA Legal, as you had requested, Steve. I don't think we were aware the last time that the Airport Commission had already taken action on a application from a seated Board of Select person. And I feel it's appropriate, especially where the action was just a year ago, that for the sake of consistency, we consider your seat a vacancy.
Good.
I also have, if I may,
Sure.
I noticed we have 4 applications for 3 positions. One of them is Mr. Beauregard. And I read them all, and there's a number, what is it, number 3 or 4 here. Why, if you have any problems with conflict of interest. And Mr. Beauregard said he owns land and he would recuse himself and stuff like that. Kyle Haley, nothing, and Keith DeChambeau, nothing. Now, if anybody has a conflict, it's Keith. He's running a business up there. That would be, and
Yep.
and nothing with Mr. Farrar, because he doesn't have anything.
Right.
And also with Mr. Haley, because M&H is probably end up doing a lot of the work there, so.
I'm just going to make a blanket comment relative to a couple of things that have been said from 2 of you. If we were concerned about conflict of interest, we probably won't get anybody on the boards to do any of these works. So I think we need to be reasonable in our approach to what really constitutes a conflict of interest. I do want to clarify on Mr. DeChambeau, he does not run a business out of the airport. He is not a fixed-based operator. He runs his business out of 2640 Main Street.
Who owns the fuel?
He has a fuel tank up there, but I don't believe to be honest with you, that's more of a luxury for us pilots to be able to have fuel up there for people to come to Rangeley, and it's a service to our community as opposed to running a business. Again,
So he's not
we could
making
probably
money.
discuss this ad nauseum, but I just wanted to clarify,
Okay.
his business practice is not up there. It's situated on Main Street, Rangeley. And again, I'm not, again, I probably shouldn't even be speaking to that because he rents from me.
But we're splitting hairs here. I mean, basically,
Mhm.
he's a
Yep.
pilot.
The MMA's decision, Cindy, I think clearly states that there is no conflict of interest, but you did have an opinion, and you, I don't believe we have a policy regarding this. And if we do, I'd like to be,
Well, I mean, Mr. Chen, there's no policy to cover every instance. I mean,
Correct.
I think that the most telling component is the fact that the Airport Commission accepted the opinion of the town attorney, and in their minutes, based an action on that opinion. And, you know, I understand your wish to remain on the Airport Commission, and for a good reason, but we have to think of consistency, past practice, and the fact that it's been
since this is an issue, then, would you not agree that it might be prudent for us to have a policy regarding this, particularly for the Board of Selectmen only?
I don't think that's a subject for today. I think we're looking at what we have available for appointments, and I just feel it would be appropriate for you to step down from the Airport Commission based on the Airport Commission's prior actions. That's all. That's
Okay.
all I'm identifying is Airport Commission's prior actions as outlined in their minutes.
Okay, then I'll tell you what I will agree to do then. I will agree to step down if we have a policy that states such. So if we're gonna move forward with that, tonight's agenda stipulates that we're moving on the Airport Commission recommendation, and I'd like to entertain it now, and then we'll move forward with the policy that dictates how Board of Selectmen can fill other roles within the community.
We can, Mr. Chair, we can certainly have, annually, not like we'd have to,
Sure.
create something from scratch.
Correct, it doesn't need to be
But,
tonight,
perhaps
you're
there
right.
might-
Let's discuss this some more.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to that at all.
okay.
You all set with that?
Yeah, but I have one more question. Why
Yep.
was Mr. Beauregard left off of this list? He's been on the board for 20 years. Who voted on it? Who decided this was the list?
I'd like to turn that over to the chairman.
We have 4 applications, so.
2 things. Thank you for asking me, because I will address that
Yeah.
as the board voted. But Cindy, before I do, I think the letter that I read on the airport/selectmen from one of the attorneys was it would be difficult at times, since the Board of Selectmen the board.
Yeah, Larry, I'm gonna stop you. I wanna address the items, because we are gonna formulate a policy.
Okay, 'cause
And we'll talk about that one in policy structure, so
I
if you
read
could,
one of the opinions of that, and I think it
Understand it.
said could be difficult.
Yeah.
Didn't say exempt it.
if you could address how you came up with the three. Incidentally, I did not attend that meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
we did not attend the meeting. There was 4 applicants on the warrant. In the order that the applications were received from the request of the applicants, of the town man, of the airport manager. As I understand, Mr. Jim Ferrera, Keith DeChambeau, Kyle Haley, and Mark Beauregard all made application to the airport manager to be on the airport committee by request of their resume. They were placed on the agenda based on the way that they arrived at the airport manager's office to be voted upon. Mr. Beauregard was number 4. We read all of the resumes from all 4 applicants and discussed them after we had a vote. And in all fairness, we're very uncomfortable with, but first of all, we voted in favor of the 1, 2, and 3 as they were presented to us on our agenda. Mark's was last. We could not get a second, so we did not vote on Mark. We didn't get a second. And the reason that the discussion took place was his resume / actions for the last year had some conflict in the resume, in the airport's board's opinion. That's why we could not get a second. That's how it came to me from the airport manager. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we only had 3 applicants, nor could we get a second.
So, just to clarify, you got a first and a second for each of the 3 individuals.
And they were first 1, 2, 3 on the list.
Okay.
Okay? 4th name, there was only 3 people for it. Now, that 4th name could come up again if you're forced to step down,
Good.
if there's no other applicants.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I feel it happened.
Well, I get why you did it.
Okay? Now, the opinion was we couldn't talk about a lot about it because we never got a second.
Okay.
Sydney? Shelley, anything?
I guess the other thing is that I noticed too in your minutes, it doesn't match your bylaws. So I don't know if you want to change. In your minutes, just, I only have this copy right here. It doesn't say who is attending. So maybe instead of having an actual policy, it should be an amendment to the bylaws. And I think it's great. This is the only committee that we have that everyone is just dying to be on. And there is just such a great oversight. I do have respect for each and every one that has been members for many years. I think the knowledge part is really great at this point because we're going into a huge project. And I think that the active members that are there should be the active members that are part of that. And I think that, do we still have the 2, I think?
Alternates?
Yes. Do we have 2 alternates that are in
You
there?
have 1 alternate right now, correct?
The shed,
Mike
I
Fluelli.
don't remember his first or last name.
Mike Fluelli.
Thank you. And Harold, right?
No, Harold's full board member.
Lisa. Is it Lisa? Lisa?
Say again?
Is it Lisa?
Yeah, it might be
Oh,
Lisa,
yes,
yours.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, because I guess that, I mean, as part of a committee that we struggle to get members for, I tend to wish that they would actually attend the meetings before to get that background to be an alternate. Then the next step would be for them to step up, but that's just my personal opinion.
Okay, I need a motion on Airport Commission's recommendation, and then I'm gonna open it up for just a tad bit more discussion, but I need a motion to go forward.
Well, they each need their, all right. Can we take them collectively or singularly?
Airport Commission, Manager and Fire Chief?
No, just, I
No.
mean, with the list, there are 4, we've got 4 applicants, so do we,
We have a recommendation from the Airport Commission for the 3 members that are listed.
I'll just make an additional comment, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I really feel it's important for abutters to be represented on this commission. You know, I'll use the Park Commission as an example. We have 2 abutters that are on the Park Commission, so that they can be aware of what's going on in the park and have firsthand information and be a part of that. And so I would like to make a motion that Mark Beauregard be appointed to the Airport Commission for a 3-year term.
Second that.
Discussion?
I thought we were going with the recommendation of
Their
the
recommend-
airport commission.
Their recommendations. I said they are recommendations, but it's up to the Board of Selectmen.
It's simple, if you're not in favor of that motion, you just vote it down, but thank you, Cindy, for your
Yeah.
motion. Kelly? I do want to just point out, though, that we rely heavily, and I think we should continue to rely heavily on the Airport Commission's input, and I don't want to start a precedent of dismissing their recommendations because they are the ones who do the due diligence for us. That being said, all in favor of Cindy's motion? Okay, motion carries, Mr. Beauregard. Now, how do you want to handle the rest of them, Cindy? Or the rest of the board? Let me hear a motion on the remaining folks.
Well, since Mr. Farrar and Keith Deschambault have already served, or currently serving, and I think Shelley brings up a good point regarding this potential project and the grant, I would make a motion to appoint James Farrar and Keith Deschambault to the Airport Commission.
Second.
Any discussion on Mr. Farrar? All in favor? Okay. We need one more recommendation in the form of a motion. I move Kyle Haley.
She did Farrar and DeChambeau.
Oh, I'm sorry, you
Yes.
said Anna Shambo?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we got both. Oh, we have both.
I didn't hear that. I gotta trim my hearing aid.
Or raise your seat.
Yeah.
Both of them.
So, Mr. Chairman, would Kyle fill the seat of yours?
Excuse me, Larry, one more second. I got one more thing I want to... Given the way this has turned out, I'm going to resign my seat right this minute for the Airport Commission and nominate Kyle Haley as my replacement.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. That does not mean we're not going to find a policy and put it in place, because despite how this just all flushed out, I think it's important that this board have the ability to have a seat on these other commissions to help, not only in guidance, but with some experiences as well. Okay? All right, next. Sure, fire away.
I think that, like, for example, Dave and I are part of the economic development.
You gotta
and-
quit.
And we don't do a vote. We attend it to be a part of it.
Well, I'm chairman of the ordinance committee.
Yeah.
All right, next, thank you. Next item is airport manager. We had some discussion about airport manager earlier this evening, real briefly. John, what's your thought process on, or maybe you could just sort of fill in the blanks for a few seconds here on how things normally go, where we're heading, and where the airport manager's position should be.
From what I've seen, Rebecca's been the manager for at least a couple of years that I'm aware of, and I think she's doing a fine job. I know with the grants and with the work that's gone into not only the grant, but the National Border Grant to help bring the road up to par, to get out to the airport, I mean, all that goes hand in hand. I think she's done a very good job, and she should be reappointed.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Rebecca as the airport manager.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to bring up that it was recommended by the outgoing town manager, Tim Pellerin, and the outgoing Public Works Director, Joe Roach, that this position be moved to Public Works when a Public Works Director is hired. just because of the, it was just what they strongly recommended to the board. So we'll be hiring, a town manager and a public works director. So perhaps, a caveat until those positions are filled. It's my recommendation.
We do this annually, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be revisiting this a year from this date. We're not quite sure when we're gonna have a town manager or that position you're referring to, so I'm personally comfortable with Rebecca in for another year. All right, that's my feeling. Anything you'd like to add? Dave, anything? Jim? All in favor of Rebecca? 4-4, opposed? Oh,
That's fine.
right, 4 in favor.
It's fine.
Good. Oh, you did raise your hand? I didn't see it.
We
Apologies.
should probably say yay
Right.
and nay, but.
Well, I can't turn my head that fast. You're quick with a hand. I gotta get a higher chair. I can't see these things. All right, fire chief. We need a motion to approve his position, correct?
So we appoint the emergency manager.
Emergency management
Emergency management director.
No, his position.
Well, it doesn't say that. Emergency management director. That's not your fault. You weren't told to do it, I can tell. What'd you call it, emergency?
Emergency management director,
Yeah.
Is he qualified?
yes.
Just a little.
I make a motion we appoint Michael Bacon, who is our fire chief, to the
Come here, Michael
to
Bacon. I
be
think of the movies.
emergency management director to expire on June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Discussion? Dennis?
I was gonna ask, does he get paid for that position? Is that a paid position?
I don't believe so.
So for the responsibility of being the EMA, they don't get any money?
Not aware of it.
It doesn't make a lot of sense for a responsibility. If I was them, I'd say, no thanks. But, Mr. Kingery.
A part of
Used to
this.
be they got paid. They got a stipend, they got at least a stipend.
I'll look into it. I'm not sure what else you would.
We checked with other towns, what is the one in Runcorn get?
They got a
All right,
stipend.
all right, we'll check into it. We'll come back with an answer on that. Remind us next month, next meeting, Dennis. Thank you. We have some correspondence from a gentleman by the name of Jack Flynn. Oh, I'm sorry. My seat's too low. All in favor? Yeah, thanks, Dave. That was supposed to be the vice chair's responsibility, but let me down.
Literally.
I got him smiling already, that's a good sign. We have an attached letter. I'm just gonna tell you this right now. This talks about the cement plant. I was never in favor of Cindy paraphrasing, so I'm not gonna do it. But I'm not gonna entertain any comments about this after. I wanna read it to you so you know what we have in front of us. 2 days ago, I was notified the Superior Court of State of Maine had issued a ruling against a conditional use permit issued to M&H Construction, possibly doing business as Rangeley Concrete, ? In that, the court upheld the original determination by previous CEOs of the plant was indeed a heavy industrial use. Next paragraph. As such, as an abutter who suffered greatly, underlined, from M&H's construction of this plant, physically in the form of excessive noise, dust, and heavy trucking, but also in the sense of adverse effect on my property and property value. And definition, deterioration, and the peaceful possession of my property is outlined in standards for issuing a conditional use permit. I ask that you use your authority as CEO to issue a cease and desist order on any further work. And then he goes on to explain Sunday nice, and I mean, that is not germane to the topic. There is also this kind of separate issue, then again, kind of connected, but back in 2016, when I woke up one fine day to find the cement plant in pieces across the street, and the lower lot of junk. Unregistered vehicles as an example, map 8, and he gives us the description. I asked Bob Folsom if M&H had the right to keep this stuff there. He said that he would look into it, and again asked later, and M&H said something. And then they had been issued a conditional use permit to store equipment on the lot, but he was unable to find it in the town hall, nor did M&H produce a copy at the time he was asked for. I asked again as we got caught up in many town board meetings and correspondence. So I'd like to formally ask you whether or not M&H actually has a conditional use permit for the lot. It would be news to me. I never got a notice about a hearing from the planning board, and if they cannot produce the permit, or a copy cannot be found at the town, I would like to demand they remove all the junk from the lot immediately. You don't think anyone would say they have a permit and then do not, and he describes his feelings about those sorts of things, which I don't think is germane. He's not happy. Second page. Back to conducting business on that lot, I would like to add that they had an outfit sandblast the entire plant, paint on it and on that lot, and I got more than a mouthful of paint, dust, and noise for that. Hopefully it was not lead paint, capital letters. But given the age of that junker, it very well be. I thank you for your help in this, and you can call me Fine Work to the CEO. Respectfully, sincerely, Jack Flynn. All right. Old business, downtown revitalization plan update.
No.
Nothing. Anything from the board on that? No. Shore Road guardrail.
We had the hearing, but I don't recall that you actually made a motion concerning that request. You had the hearing out at the fire station there?
Well,
Go ahead, Cindy.
Yes, because she was supposed to follow up and have a discussion with the police chief, see if local control could manage the situation as opposed to putting up a permanent physical barrier. So, because the last time she said she had spoken to the police chief about the issue was 6 years ago. And it seemed that the majority of those landowners that were present were against any physical barrier being there.
I'll just add a couple more things to this, and I'll be right with you, Tricia. It was pointed out to her at that meeting that if in fact she knew the 4 vehicles that were the habitual offenders, that she give this new police chief an opportunity to straighten this out. The second thing that was pointed out to her at that meeting, and to folks that were in attendance in Aquasic, was that this topic was visited a number of years ago because of complaints of speeding on that road, and the guardrail was moved to mitigate that problem. And so that was all conveyed in that meeting, and I think the tenor of the meeting suggested that we've done our due diligence to this point, nothing will be done from this point forward. Tricia.
Also, I've had a conversation with some people on that road since then that were quoted that they were all for extending the guardrail, and they were not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at public meetings, we should, if the person isn't there to speak for themselves or they're not putting anything in writing, we may want to make sure that not much weight is put on to that, because...
It's hearsay.
Exactly. And
Thank you.
just
Perfect.
something for you to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else regarding that? Any questions? Single stream recycling. This ought to raise a few hackles. John.
Well, the first page of all the handouts we gave you was kind of a summary of what it looks like for the future. It's based on what we actually sent from June of 17 to May of 18, so a full year. 165.8 tons, 30 trips, or cans, disposal cost. So what we have is we got Archie to give us an estimate to go back to the way it used to be here, where he would, townspeople would do a little bit of recycling and put cardboard in one area and plastic somewhere else. And Archie's proposal, based on 165 tons, which is what now is going to Casella, and 30 trips at $4.25 a trip, is I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm reading this. Archie's is the last one. This is what we did with Casella the last year. It cost us $14,641. The last couple of bills with Casella is average $80.98 a ton, whereas all of the tonnage last year averaged $11.41. So at $80.98 for the same number of trips and tonnage, you're looking at $26,176. So the best I can tell you is that if we stay with Casella and have single stream the way we're doing it right now, it's gonna cost us anywhere between $14,600 and $26,176. And it's all market related, and there is no market right now with China refusing all the single sort stuff, so who knows how it's gonna go. So there's no way to predict that accurately. All I can say is it's, to me, it's not gonna be $11.41 average for a year, and it's most likely gonna be a lot closer to the 26,000. So, we got a proposal from Waste Management in just our municipal solid waste at $67.90 a ton, with the transportation cost of $362.83, would cost less than us trying to recycle. If we just disposed of it with municipal solid waste, it'd be $22,142 for the same tonnage. So then we have an estimate from Archie, who actually bought the facility at Sandy River that I guess we used to be part of, and they went belly up. And his proposal is there'd be no tipping fee because he has actually got a crew down there to, bail it up and sit on it till the market goes up and down and ship it himself. So we would get no money for any tipping fee, but we wouldn't pay anything either. So we're talking only the transportation cost, and that would cost $11,350. So the question is, if you're looking at cost, going back to the way it used to be with Archie, would be the cheapest at $11,350. To stay with Casella under single sort would be anywhere between $14,600 and $26,176. And to just landfill it all would be $22,000. So I think your question is, how serious does the town want to recycle? And are they willing to do a little bit more sorting than what they do now to get the cheapest price? Or do they want to pay a higher amount than they have been paying to stay with Casella and do single sort? I mean, that's more of a policy issue. So you got a serious money issue, and you also have a policy issue.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
This cost to Archie's is not 100% accurate because it shows 165.8 tons. But if we change from zero sort to selective sort, there's also going to be some of that going back into the landfill trash. You know what I mean?
Zero, so you mean some people won't?
Well, we're not going to have zero sort anymore. We're going to have the barrels and the cardboard separated and everything. So
Right.
some of the stuff that we're recycling now isn't going to be recycled. It's going to go into the municipal solid waste stuff.
Okay, but every one of these may vary on the tonnage, Dave, but by using the same tonnage that we experienced last year, that's just comparing apples to apples based on the prices.
Right. It is, but it isn't on the last one, because not everything that's included in the first three are going to be included in the last one. Because there's a lot of stuff that will not get recycled that will go into the landfill trash.
But if that's the case, then
It's still cheaper, but
the number of trips should go down, and it would be even cheaper than that 11,000.
Well, it says no tipping.
Cost you more on the landfill. But we don't have scales either, so there's no way to really tell what we're bringing in from all the plantations around us either. I mean, if they pay a fee, the county pays us something for the unorganized, but without scales, there's no way to really adequately
Donnie?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this last thing from Waste Management, the whole thing goes into a landfill, and that's not acceptable.
No, it's not recycling at all.
No.
And the question is, do we wanna spend $15,000 a year more to do it the way we're doing it, or do we wanna save that $15,000 and do it the way we used to do it? Because we still do the cardboard, so that's a moot point. But it's everything else, and we just got people turned around to do it this way now.
Cindy?
We can go back.
Yeah, that's, there's a lot more to it. I mean, Keith Savage and John, they put a lot of time into this, and there's, with China and their stance, there's no guarantee we'll ever see the 1141 a ton days. And the other thing that Keith pointed out in our discussion was the fact that with the single stream recycling, if they label one of our cans as being contaminated, then we don't get credit for any recycling at all, and we get billed for a haul. And we just don't have the manpower to assure that level of quality recyclables. So it's, I think we should have a public hearing if we decide to go back to the old way. I think just given all of the information and the numbers, I think the public would be receptive to it. And years ago, Dave just talking about getting back to the scales. I think Keith is probably going to work out some kind of cost as far as really, getting scales for the OBW and the town not absorbing, or taxpayers not absorbing so much of that cost for us not being able to weigh that OBW matter that comes in, and we just kind of bill by the area. So I'm for, I mean, we're gonna get some backlash on this. People really like the single stream recycling, but at a cost of at least $15,000 more to keep it, without any guarantee they're going to give us credit for that delivery, given the potential contamination. We're better off going back.
Shelley?
I
Anything?
agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody else on the board? One comment, I'll be with you, Larry. Do we have a cost breakdown, a labor breakdown of what it's going to cost us to go back to the old way? I know I asked this of Richie the last time.
It doesn't cost us anymore. That's the word from the guys that are out there.
Right, so,
It shouldn't cost us locally anymore.
you sure? Memory tells me that when we did this, we found out that we needed to build new structure over this so contamination was minimized. This kind of container had to be brought in at an extra expense so the contamination was minimized. An extra person had to be added because the sorting time was so great that we couldn't help those that were coming in. Again, I think there is going to be a labor issue if we go back to the old way. Not that I don't want to recycle, so don't go back to the newspaper and say that I'm interested in throwing shit all over the place. But Larry?
I was at the public hearings, there was numerous public hearings. I can't remember if it was decided in a public hearing to go single stream, or was there a referendum vote to go single stream? I'd have to look back 2 or 3 years into our.
There was a vote.
We
Was there a
voted.
vote?
Town
Went to town.
The town voted.
Currently, we are single stream voted, because we haven't voted any other way. I agree with this, and agree with you, Steve, but we gotta look hard at the cost of sorting. If it's greater than $15,000, which I'm sure it's going to be, if we need another employee and another container on the roof, we gotta really analyze this in a public hearing. It's not something you're gonna do here tonight.
Dennis?
The other thing to think about is that, you got a price matcher for 1 year. If something changes in the recycle market and he gets a lot less money for it, he's gonna come back to you for money for either, oh, well, now we've gotta start tipping fees, or now we've gotta do this. So it's not, you can't get a long-term contract matching. He's gonna just tell you, he's subject to the market like everybody else is. So you just guys gotta decide, how many times can we switch back and forth and for the taxpayer to decide, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, hold on, Cindy. Donnie?
Well, if everybody remembers, this went to town meeting at one point,
Went to our friend.
and it passed. That was recycling. And about 2 months later, they got a petition up to revisit this, and it was defeated to go to single stream.
Right. By referendum. That's
So-
what I'm afraid of.
Yep. Hold on,
Well,
Dave.
it wasn't defeated to go to single stream.
It was defeated not to recycle in the other.
Recycling ordinance was defeated, it was voted in and that was defeated, but that didn't
Understand.
force you, you were still doing what we did before we did single stream.
But
And
eventually
then we
we
went to single stream because the cost of what we were doing before, what you wanna go back to now, was prohibitive.
Yep. Cindy?
Yep. The other thing, Dennis brings up a good point, and Keith Savage can speak to this, much better than I can recall from our discussion. But there already are products being recycled that there is no market for. I mean, people are bringing in items for single stream recycling that are just that are being landfilled.
And glass is a good example.
Glass is a big example. I mean, you think you're doing great by rinsing out that, ketchup bottle and, bringing it in, but it is, Keith has done a lot of work with this, and there's definitely already items being, in our single stream that are being landfilled. So,
Can I make a
Hold on,
suggestion?
Dave?
Yeah.
I recommend, let's work through this for another year and come up with something for next town meeting. Give us one more year of working on it. To recycle and save, things that do go into the landfill. If it costs us a little bit extra money, I think it's socially conscious.
With public hearings, you get some input? You have? Yep.
I'd stay the way we're doing and go to town meeting and give them a choice.
With public hearings prior to that, so we have the input?
yeah, I mean, we may end up with, we've got ordinances that are gonna be coming up. We may end up with a special town meeting at some point this year anyway, so.
And I'd like to hear what Keith has.
Yep.
Yeah, Keith
Shelley?
has got a lot of good information.
One of the other things that we did offer out there to Joe during the budget process is possibly changing the hours of the transfer station. So if there was something that needed to be done where you needed more time, or maybe that could be an option to close it down for a certain time period, and then they could work on doing other things, if they're sorting or something to that effect.
Okay.
Just something, an idea.
Yeah. Close an hour early or open an hour early.
It's just a matter of just rotating.
Dennis?
I was gonna say, Shelley makes a good point, because we used to do that. We used to shut that down one day, and they were up there working, but they weren't accepting any trash, but they needed that day to work on that other stuff that was.
Sorting.
So, you're absolutely right, there is a labor component of this that we need to.
It has to. I don't think the expectation is realistic for asking those that are there to do this job, myself. Anything else on that? All right, so that we don't make this disappear, can we issue a suggestion for a public hearing? What are you pointing at?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say, add it to old business, but public hearing.
What? Okay. Well, I didn't know where you were going with this.
No, because see, like, for example, here, so we wouldn't forget about it, we permanently put it downtown.
No, where I was going with that, at the end of my sentence was, do you want to schedule a date for a public hearing or pick a month to say, it gives people time and know, they can plan their schedules, those who are interested. It gives Keith time to get us the information so we can disseminate it to those that are interested in participating in this. I just don't like to see it sit around for a while.
No, I would suggest one
Go
now
ahead,
and
John.
then one closer to town meeting.
Okay.
Can I say our contract with Casella already expired June 30th?
So we need a contract. We gotta decide where to go with this.
Yeah, and we're right now paying a premium with them until we sign a
No.
contract with them, so.
Okay, that makes a difference.
Well, I didn't see that anywhere in here. Well, given that information, what do you feel?
I don't think we can change without having public
No, we
No,
can't
we've already
vote.
voted.
decide right today.
It's already been voted.
So you're suggesting sign a contract again?
for one more year.
Yeah, I think I think we need time to educate the public, because I think that's key. I mean, as much as it would be nice to save, put a stamp on it and save 15 grand, I just don't think that would hold in a court of public opinion.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to extend our contracts or renew our contract with Casella for a year.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? I'm in favor. Okay, thank you. Road ramp bid results.
We can still have a public hearing. Steve?
Hang on, I'm getting to it, Julie. I'm getting there, I promise. I'm turning the page here. Here we go.
You still don't want that?
I still do want a public hearing, yeah.
Yes.
But let him get this contract signed, and we'll put it back on the agenda for next meeting. We'll get public hearing date. I can't read that calendar. We gotta get a bigger one, so I can see where we are per month.
Just keep it today, I just got it today.
Well, I'm not trying to rush anybody, but I was trying to read that thing, and I knew if I brought out my phone to look at the date, somebody would make comments on me using my phone up here.
No, we don't care.
Thank you, Tracy.
Just to see the date.
Did you
There
say
used to
you
be a
wanted
huge
this on the
calendar
agenda
right
for
there.
the next meeting?
Yes, please.
With a public hearing?
So we can talk about the dates for public hearing.
Correct.
So
I'm just-
schedule it.
Nice to have Keith have here to bring us some information too.
Okay, Keith will be here.
Thank you. All right. Boat ramp bid results. Who wants to address that? Go ahead.
Yeah, low bid was M&H, $157,364. The next bid, the only other bid was from Farley Construction of Rockport for $194,700. So, recommendation is you authorize us to sign a contract with M&H for the construction, and also part of this is another contract with Department of Conservation for up to $62,000 to go toward that cost, leaving $95,364 cost to the town for the completion of the boat ramp project and parking. And there's another contract you have to approve for accepting 104 those concrete, 10-foot concrete slabs that actually make up the boat ramp. So planks, they call them. So two contracts with the Department of Agriculture and one with M&H to do the work.
So you want a motion that stipulates the M&H number, the contract number is 62,000 for the grant, and the town share of 95,364.
Yes.
I need a motion.
And the town's agreement to accept 104 10-foot long precast concrete planks and up to 10 6-foot-long precast concrete planks. That's a separate agreement with the state.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve of M&H Construction's low bid of $157,364 for the boat ramp improvement project.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you, M&H.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we have that money raised already?
Thank you, M&H. Next,
Larry had a question.
we need,
Mr. Chairman, didn't we already raise that money anyway? Have we had a price? It's already in the park budget raised already, correct? It's not new money raised.
correct. Yeah, it is there, yeah.
We're just
We're not
accepting
raising
the bid.
$6,000 settlement.
No,
We raised it a year ago for this project.
for this project.
So get back to Todd's question, I think that was like 216,000, so we just saved 60
Yeah,
on his lack of revenue.
right.
So that you should be informed of that. We
Yeah, we're not raising it, we're just,
accepting the bid, $260,000 estimate. Committed 150, we just saved 60 here.
Yep, thank you.
So Todd should be ready.
95.
Did you get that, John? He's got it. Thank you. Good point. Next part.
Mr. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the $62,000 grant from the Boating Facilities Fund through the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, Forestry for the boat ramp improvement project.
Second.
Moved and seconded, who seconded that?
Donnie.
Donnie, thank you. You're used to that little grumble, I'm not, I just caught on to that.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a full-fledged second.
That's as good as it gets.
Moved and seconded, any discussion on the $62,000 grant? Hearing none, call for a vote, all in favor? No opposed. Third item.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the grant in aid from the State of Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry for 104 10-foot length long precast concrete planks and up to 10 6-foot long precast concrete planks for improvements to the town of Rangeley's new boat launch facility.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Donnie seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. It's a vote. Thanks again to local business. New business, propose, okay, help me with Louis Alfieri, is that how you say that? Alfieri Hangar Building.
Looks right.
That's all.
Was discussed by the Airport Commission today. What was the due diligence?
Can I,
Go ahead, sure.
ask that you table it? Apparently the Airport Commission tabled the request. And the request was to build a wood frame hangar rather than a steel hangar. And they met today and tabled it, from what I was told, so.
Let's speak on what they decided if you want.
So that's
Okay, you all comfortable with tabling?
motion to table.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
So
Mill
we're gonna
rate.
put that in old business, we'll put it in old for our thing for next week.
Yeah. After we get a recommendation from the airport people.
Perfect.
Mill rate.
We did that.
We did
Done.
it. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Check that off.
We already voted. Raise the Floor Coalition. I just want to raise my seat.
We'll get a big book.
I'm bringing a cushion next time.
It's a request to see if you folks are interested in getting on board with some group that's trying to, I guess, get the legislature to give more money to schools for education, or to change the formula. I mean, all I know about it is what you see in your packet here.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, dear.
Yeah, I would suggest, I mean, this is something that probably ought to come from the school board. It was sent, it was sent to me just because, I was on the mailing list, I guess, on the town of Rangeley, but nothing that I don't think we can act on without the school board acting first.
Any more discussion on that? You want to table it, move it, send it?
Send it.
What's your feelings on it? Make a motion.
Table it, I'll make it, yeah, I mean, we'll table it until the school board, comes
Do we
back.
know if they've gotten a copy?
Do we know if they've got a copy of that?
We have not,
You have
not
it?
that I'm aware of, we have not received anything on this.
Well,
Have you read through this?
I
No?
don't know what it is.
Okay. We'll make sure you get it, Paul. The chairman of the school board is Nancy?
Yes.
Okay. The motion to table, and who seconded?
I did.
Donnie did.
Okay. All in favor of tabling? Oh, thank you. RSU 78 tax assessment. I don't want to read this whole thing. The assessment of tax value from July 1 of 2018 to June 30th of 19. Whereas the citizens of Regional School Unit 78 at the district budget meeting and referendum held on June 5th, 2018, voted the sum of $4,419,000 $71.05 should be approved as the total budget for the Regional School Unit 78 for the period of July 1, 18 to June 30th, 19, which also includes $12,500 for adult education and $40,000 for school nutrition program. What exactly are we doing here other than just to approve this, or do you want us to?
I think it's FYI.
It's just
you know, and just-
Well, we don't need any approval, this was already voted on. Any questions on this? Larry?
Budget committee, the only question, we just did 3.4 million, so we must have revenue of 654,000.
Okay.
So we're raising 2,810,000 on our calculation.
We got now.
It breaks it down throughout here, Larry, talks about $3,965,628.41.
So the school must have $900,000 worth of tuition.
Correct. It breaks it down, Dallas Plantation, McGalloway, et cetera, et cetera, et
You
cetera.
remember, didn't do the calculation sheet,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Anything else? Thank you. You all set? Were you saying something? No? Department head updates, town manager report.
Nothing to report, I missed all of last week, I was sick, feeling better. And I hope they're not missing more days.
Anything? I'm glad you're feeling better, John. Glad you're back. He was down for the count for a while there. Anything you want to add, Cindy, Shelley, Dave?
Just did their reports. For 2 weeks. Fire department, have their report.
Okay, would you like to comment on them, or would you like me to?
You know what, usually we just go through it.
Yeah, I know.
Like a little-
All right. Suffice it to say that everybody was busy, but let me just go through it real quick for you here. Permits issued from the code enforcement officer. 4 permits issued, ongoing work, checking process of a violation that we have. Talking about insurances, he's doing his work. Conclusion, things remain very busy and I'm taking longer to process permit applications. This is due to the volume of customers, the time violations are demanding, and the fact that I am a one-man show. I feel the need for an assistant coming on here, just my opinion. If I am to inspect restaurants, apartments for violation and address needed corrections, I believe this could avoid potential disasters. It may be necessary to consider bringing in an assistant code enforcement officer. Rangeley is a dynamic town, so there is feelings. A dynamic town, and the population size is far more than 1,300 year-round residents during most of the building season. Respectfully submitted. From the, I have 2 of those.
It's just more permits from the state to the state.
Yeah, okay, the other one's the same thing.
Yeah, and everything else is.
Fire department, water rescue, training, station 2, hose testing engine 2, officers meeting, pre-planned July 3rd, emergency calls, medical emergency, unknown breathing status, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ranging from motor vehicle accidents to a burn permit out of control, non-responsive individuals. Suffice it to say, the fire department is participating in a lot of different things. Thank you for your service. Updates on 7/16 for the fire department, truck checks, parade fireworks. By the way, in the fireworks, was there an issue there when they were shooting those things off?
There were a few that, let's just say,
Looked like a couple of them
Yeah.
left a scar.
coming off, just as they came out of the tube, they didn't reach the elevation that they should have. Just they came up out of the tube and went sideways.
Oh, my brother was sitting next to me watching this, and he goes, "I think that one left a scar. We're in trouble here."
But that's why we have, it's 4-inch shells, we have a 300-foot radius perimeter, so
Yep,
none of those remains of shells impacted any people at all. So.
yep.
That would be good.
They worked on the dog carriage parade, department business meeting, vehicle extraction training session, mutual aid structured fire on June 28th. What does CO stand for, an alarm?
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide, oh, good. Water rescue, fire alarm, motor vehicle accident, EMS assist on Main Street, fire alarm, vehicle fire at Stratton Lumber, a tree on fire, EMS assistant a couple more times than ES, PD assistant, Sanctuary Drive. From the police department, 159 total calls from a period of June 27th to July 10th. Building checks, 45, community policing, 28, citizens, assist citizen, 13, direct patrol, 11, motor vehicle stops, 10, parking enforcement, 6. I hope they weren't during events, but maybe. 9/11 hang-ups, 6. How does that impact police department?
Because they have to go investigate. Once a dispatch
Gotcha.
in Franklin gets a call, even if the people call back and say it's not a problem, they still go investigate.
Gotcha. Alarms, 5, paperwork service, 5, medical assist, 4, noise complaints, 4, police information, 3, lost and found property. Did they find the cat, by the way?
There's a dog missing too.
It's what?
There's a dog missing too. A little black dog. And
No, I'm talking about the cat that everybody's posting all over. Did they find that yet?
Lucky.
All right.
Colored one by the cemetery.
Noise complaints, lost and found property, 3, follow-ups, 3, disturbances, 2, vehicle accidents, 2, missing persons, 2, I hope they found them, motor vehicle complaints, 2, criminal mischief, 1, animal complaint, 1, welfare check, 1, open door, 1, ATV complaints, 1, respectfully submitted, Chief French. John, you want to do yours?
To John from Keith.
John Madigan, right here, from Keith Savage, oh yeah, 2 years, okay. Highway, continue grading, drainage work, final ditching of Pleasant Street, base pavement inspection, Hall and Stockpile Road, gravel at Chick Hill, pollution control facility, highway garage, tree removed from the old schoolhouse cemetery, base pavement inspection and driveway entry work on Rangeley and Franklin Avenue, mowing at the airport. Parks continue with summer routine, Goose Park, clean dock, maintain goose deterrent systems, weed whack tower off Route 17, painting of pavilions, lifeguards were hired and have started. Solid waste, daily cleanups continued, infrastructure maintenance discussed, normal operations. They've been chipping debris. Sewer, continue summer spray program, continue brush hogging, septic, spray fields. Adjust 3 manholes on Upper Pleasant Street. Mark out sewer for upcoming DOT projects. Lab training in South Paris. Director's office, park project, windows installed. Ceilings and trim work. Building primed and painted and stained. Base pavement in parking lots and road area. Lights installed. Continue research recycling options. Lake Street planning, M&H contract revision request. And a FEMA fish screen visit and inspection. Before we go any farther, if you all don't know, the gentleman who got this entire sewer system in our town up and running has passed away. Frenchie left us day before you, two days. Thursday, thank you. If you don't know Frenchie and you never met him, you missed a great guy. He was truly an original, and I can honestly say probably contributed more to the town of Rangeley than any 2 people in this room. He's done an awful lot for Rangeley, Maine.
You started work for the town in 1969, the first certified plant.
I'm going to make an official request of all of you right now that no matter who else we put on the next town book for town meeting, Frenchie's name is there and we dedicate it to him. So
We did 2 years
We've
ago.
already done
Yeah, we dedicated the town report to him 2 years ago.
can we do it again?
But,
At least a mention I think is appropriate, Mr. Cool.
So on that highway budget, I asked last meeting, I'd like to ask again for the next selectmen's meeting, would it be possible for us to have for all of us to be aware of, both the selectmen and the public, what's been spent on the bond issue for the 2.5 million? What is expected to be spent and what our breakdown by where it was spent? How much has been spent and what do we have left going forward?
Right?
Is that possible?
I think so. Okay.
Steve?
Yes, sir.
on the subject of Frenchy, you might want to consider naming a road after him in town. You guys put a lot in for the town for many years. The other thing I want to say is, as a resident of Quantic, I really appreciate Public Works in the town. Do all the paving that they did down there. It's very nice down there. And actually paved the street that goes by my house that's never been paved, and I'll be able to deal with a lot less dust, and I appreciate that. Very nice. Did a nice job down there. They did a nice job around the back of the fire station, and it looks great.
Does look good. Thank you, Dennis.
Just for the record, about 4 years ago, we named the street after Frenchy.
Yeah, it's already been done.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frenchie's Way.
Frenchie's Way.
Frenchie's Way.
Second submission from Keith Savage for July 12th. Just quickly looking, everything is pretty much the same except for the sewer. It says continue summer spray program, continue bush hogging, septic and spray fields, install 3 sewer. Route 16 with M&H for Jim Williams, adjust 2 manholes in conjunctions with Williams Service in preparation for coming road work. Park project. Lake Street, M&H is reconstructing for sidewalks. Pike is coming to reclaim Wednesday, the 18th. That's this week, right? Yeah, this week. And paving Thursday or Friday. Curbing coming the 24th. Boy, if you could get them to pave Thursday and not Friday, would be a big bonus for the town, I think, but whatever you do. Pleasant Street surface paving taking place Saturday, the 21st. What was that?
That's nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I'm sure. Any questions on that? Rangeley, yes, sir.
Just, some of you may have noticed, but the state actually paved the Loon Lake Road today, all the way up to the.
Oh, yeah? It's a racetrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, perfect time to comment on that, if you don't mind, John. I'm curious, we talked about this before I was sitting at this table, but over at her parents' house, they did one culvert on the high side. They didn't address the what do we call them when we go up there in the wintertime?
I call them the Henderson humps, but that's all right.
That's it. I just don't understand why. They were right there. Was there any input from us to them, or could we have? Because now they paved over it. It's going to look beautiful till the December 17th when the frost starts.
Is that beyond the road going to the school?
It's about 25 feet away from it on the downhill side.
On this side.
Yeah, maybe 75, 100 feet, whatever it is.
I don't want to get that thing going too fast. We mentioned it to them, I know that,
Okay, all
at
right.
one point. I don't know.
There's been a great many flowers.
It's just,
Yes, sir.
Too bad.
They are doing absolutely zero prep this year on all the skinny mix, zero.
they're just
The
covering.
Range Plantation in Sandy River, the road washed out last fall. They never patched the holes, they went right through them, and now they're already back.
They filled
They
the hole.
paved right through them, 6-inch holes with a half an inch of mix. I mean, and they didn't cut any of the culverts off, so that's pretty much how they're going this year.
I think what they told us was it was a matter of money. They only had enough money to pave it, and that's all they were gonna do,
Yeah.
as I remember.
Too bad they couldn't get a senator up here to look at some of these, like you're talking about, that spot, it's just before you go across the Kennebago Bridge, it's 204 there, backside of the mountain,
Yeah. Kenny?
but nobody's getting hold of it.
Rebecca was involved and John, but there's a grant in for that Loon Lake Road to partially rebuild it from the school up to the airport, what
That's
the
good.
production is.
Yep.
I don't know how it's coming, but it's.
Yeah, we submitted all the paperwork, we're waiting, that's all. But that could be 2020.
So they said to use the money, right? Isn't that what they said, to use the money,
The
don't
state-
say no?
What the state said on this paving, because we did approach them about, can we save this money, because we're gonna be rebuilding that? And he said, no, if you don't use it, you lose it. And he thought, since it's gonna be at least a couple of years, that might be what's necessary to just keep what's there together. So he recommended we do it, and they agreed with him. So, they did come by and raise some of those catch basins on the shoulder. So when if it's that close to the school road, then maybe when that's rebuilt, you can just go a little bit beyond the school road and rebuild the whole thing. If that's still gonna be a problem, then Frosty, you're talking about.
It's a problem every year, and I don't care if you put 10 inches of tar on it, it's a problem.
Dig it out.
I know it has been.
Must be a culvert under there that's
It might have helped.
shallow.
There's not really anything there, I mean, you've got this
Whatever
bank
is
that's
there
on the
is
side.
Hey, one, please, I know we all ate that hole one at a time. You had something to say, no?
He said, it looks like there's a spring that comes up from that every spring. I
Yeah,
mean, you
probably
can see
is.
that water.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody
But
else
the
had
water
that.
is coming out from that pond too, where they just put that culvert that went across.
Probably not gonna help it, but they did put a culvert 20 feet ahead of where the spring was bubbling out of the road for 10 years. That may reduce some of the frost heaving there, but certainly not the degree that's already up to the hot top. I mean, why you didn't grind that out and dig it out, I have no idea, but that's, the state said losing to use it. We asked them not to rebuild the road until after the airport project. They said, we're spending it, but you're gonna take it somewhere else. They-
Yeah, well, at least it'll be a smooth road for a little bit here, and we can have a racetrack up to
2
your
weeks.
house. All right, anything else on that one? Last one from the police chief for June 13th through the 27th of June. 185 calls, no other changes in the different coding. Biggest is building code checks at 80, and the smallest is follow-ups of 1, background checks 1, alarms, etc. If you'd like me to read it all, I will. If not, okay. Department head up. Anything else, John, on updates? Sir, okay. Calendar.
Just in your packet also, there was a report from the meeting that Keith went with the guy from FEMA on the damage to the fish gate.
Yep.
And they drew up a pretty accurate description of what was needed, so we're just waiting to hear what kind of money they're gonna allow us for that. But that's just for your information, what's needed to repair the fish gate.
Okay. So this facility of the fish gate, an outlet of Rangeley Lake into Rangeley River, purpose is to keep species. Keep species from flowing into and out of the lake, normally kept halfway open, but in the spring it opens more to help control water levels. Was discussed a number of weeks ago. Mr. Coogan and I were talking about that. So you'll find, you've got all that material there in front of you, right? Do you want any movement on this, or is this just FYI?
Just FYI, because we first reported that FEMA wasn't gonna fund it, because we couldn't prove ownership.
Have we proved ownership yet?
No, but they got back to me and said that since we can show them that we spent money on it, they're gonna count it.
Is a letter from the Guides and Sportsmen relinquishing any particular rights they have, or thought they might have had, or suspected somebody might have had, would help in this process in terms of future?
I think we showed enough, the town voted, the last time they did anything, about $10,000 to go into its renovation, so it showed FEMA that the town responsibly is taking care of this, whether we own it or not.
Okay. Anything on that one? Fishgate, you all set? Dave? Donnie? All good? Okay, good. Cemetery stone restoration.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve paying the 2 invoices received from the Cemetery Restoration Committee for $9,920.20.
Second.
Discussion.
Amazing work.
Looks good over there.
Oh
Looks
my
so
gosh, it is just, Wilbur Cemetery is beautiful. It just feels so good to see our cemetery so respected and taken care of.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yep. Any other comments on the board?
No.
Dennis?
This has to do with cemetery, but while you're right into it, if I could, if I was physically able, I would go buy 2 trees and I would put them on the cemetery. I'm willing to buy one if someone wants to buy the other one and you guys install them, because we're missing 2 trees where we had the stumps ground out, but we don't have our line of trees along the fence line. We need a couple more trees, preferably some sugar maples that turn yellow in the fall.
Yep. Cindy?
Mr. Chairman, if I could defer that to the cemetery committee. They've got a plan in place and they will recommend to the board.
The cemetery, go ahead.
The cemetery committee is working their way through that whole process, so.
And nice to be planted this summer.
What's the process, Tricia? Could you?
We last year had gone out to bid to restore the fence. The bid we got was over $80,000. So we are discussing possibly taking out the fence and either using portions of it and then doing, they haven't decided on what exactly they want to do yet, whether it be tree work or shrubbery or something. So they're working through that process right now.
Is it possible for you to suggest to the cemetery committee, or when do they meet next? Let me ask you that.
We haven't scheduled the next meeting. I've got to get a meeting scheduled soon.
Would it be possible to get them to meet rather soon with the idea that you have a proposal from 2 people willing to purchase trees to be planted this year? And then we could get this thing going this week and next? Is that possible?
I don't know about that.
Well, let me just suggest that a phone call to board members saying, this is what's up, this is what's been brought in front of the Board of Selectmen, and there are 2 people willing to step up and purchase some trees. That can be an adjunct to all of the other processes they're going through. I'll get you, I promise I will.
Okay.
And that being said, we could respond pretty quickly to those folks that are willing to put in trees. Yes, Cindy?
I disagree with that request simply because the cemetery committee, they've painstakingly looked at that fence area, the trees that have been taken down, what the plan is to replace it. They already have a working process. So for us to say, we want you to meet in 2 weeks because someone can buy us trees, which may or may not be in the plan, I think is disrespectful.
Well, if they don't have the idea from some of the people that are willing to, at their expense, pay for it, they might want to say, gee, that's a great idea. And if it isn't a good idea, we can respond to said individuals saying their plan does not include trees and so on.
Mr. Chairman, I would just suggest that perhaps you attend the next cemetery committee meeting.
Would you do that, Dennis?
Yes, I will, if I know what it is, and I'd be glad to be a member if there's any vacancies.
Right. If Tricia notified you of their next meeting, then you'd be willing to, yes, Dave?
I think part of the master plan for the cemetery, and correct me if I'm wrong, was to evaluate that fence and find the better pieces. And then have like fence, tree, fence, shrub, or something like that, so that the animals can get through it. But they have a process that they need to go through to figure out how many lengths of fence that they can salvage, what the costs are gonna be, and what they would put in between them.
I love a good discussion, all sorts of stuff comes out.
I hope we don't put shrubbery in there because we're blocking the view of the cemetery from the road. It's a beautiful cemetery, we don't want to hide it with a shrub.
And if you participate, you can make that known to them. You good with that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mark, you had your hand up.
This probably isn't relevant, but I would advise against, if you were gonna plant trees, to plant them in the spring and not the fall. With Rangeley's climate, the success of those plantings taken are greatly reduced with a fall planting compared to a spring planting.
Thank you, sir. We good with all this now? Super. Select board communications. Any communications that we need to talk about? I didn't see any, so.
I have a question for the board.
Yes, sir. Is this under public to speak, or?
Well, it's just a general thing. I recently got this annual report of Lifeline for 2017, and I was, in looking at it, it indicates that the fixed-wing aircraft came to Rangeley and picked up a burn victim and took it to Boston. And so I asked Harold if he knew anything about it, and he didn't, and I asked Larry, and he didn't, and Dennis didn't, and Chris Farmer didn't, so I had no knowledge that they came, and I was just wondering if anyone else in this room knew that they came, because I was kind of curious when it was, and how come you never heard anything about it.
Okay, thank you. As a newly elected member of the airport commission, you can bring that to us next time. Let us know.
Give Lifeline a call.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other communications? We're going into executive session again, I hope not. We are.
No,
that's just in case.
No,
We've done that, yeah.
the times would be available, what's that?
No, but
Yeah. Anything else? I need a motion.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any opposed? No, we're all in favor. Thank you.
Hey, thank you all for the kind words about friendship.
Appreciate it.
He's a good man, Ken. Is there gonna be a service?
There is gonna be in September, yep, joint service, yep.
I'll be there.
Trade check.
Sure, thank you.
Last Thursday evening.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Cindy. Do you have a second?